Very early on in Genesis, we have this tale spun of a naked Noah after the flood is gone, getting drunk in his tent and having to be covered up by his sons. This is a strange tale that is actually very fun to unravel. Many people have worked at this. It's been the source of consternation for a lot of theists. I'm going to approach it as a spiritual seeker and somebody who is looking for the template, not as a theist. So I don't have any really spiritual commitment to the outcome of what I interpret. And what I'm going to suggest is in this video, we can find exactly why it was preferable for Noah to be naked in the tent and uncovered, and why it was a bad thing to cover him. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's just read this section. This is right after the flood, and you will see that I've restored it here to something from a storytelling culture. I've got the verses and all that out. This is from the NRSV. The sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was peopled. Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank some of the wine and became drunk, and he lay uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and walked backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, lowest of slaves shall he be to his brothers." He also said, "Blessed by the Lord my God be Shem, and let Canaan be his slave." May God make space for Japheth, and let him live in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years, and the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Okay, we just finished up with Noah there, and what do we have? Yeah, so that's a weird thing, but you know what? I'm going to suggest it's absolutely the right thing, and it's going to take a little bit of work to get here. Let me try to summarize it. I know there's people that have been following along, a few anyway, but it is not an easy thing to understand. I'm doing something that is very unusual, but it is very consistent. It's a discovery that really, to me, reveals the templates that emerge across antiquity. What I'm going to suggest is just based on extensive research is that the template is written in a variety of ways. It is all self-healing. Think of this for a moment. We have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and things that hurt. We might have to turn inside and do some forgiving in order to feel better. In its simplest form, that is it right there, and life will flow better. However, in a storytelling culture, that's not going to go very far, and in a culture of humans, that's not going to go far. This is storytelling. So it's encased and encapsulated in a way to have it travel around. The stories get richer and richer and richer. In these cases, what you have is a lot of people all of a sudden. So how does that work? And what is happening here is that at various points in time in our life, we are one kind of a person that has these qualities, and then we grow up and have these experiences. So they're calling us something different at that point, and our joy and happiness begin to go away. So they're insinuating that those are being taken over by higher powers, and you're losing control of all of that stuff. And that is exactly what is going on in these stories. It just builds bigger and bigger, more components, and that what we have right here with Noah and his sons are all parts of who and what we are after we've gone through a flood, after we've gone through a forgiveness cycle. It's time to start again. I am suggesting that I believe the templates are built on the life of a human and how a human heals. And that creation, from creation all the way up to the flood, is the life cycle of a human held in a manner that we first emerge, we divide, life goes bad, it gets worse, it goes on. We finally get to a point where we're ready to say, I'm going to change my life. That's the world being raucous. But all of it is playing out inside of us. The flood then represents going in and forgiving, letting go of, finding ways of disconnecting from the things that we're dragging with us in life that have hurt us. We're looking to self-heal. And that all of the characters in this story are parts of who and what we are at various points in time. and at various points in time. I mean, we have different qualities. They're going to be given a role. There's different parts of us at various points in time. Okay, so if we were on this hero's journey path, or the self-healing path, we would have become Noah at the time of the first flood. That represents us going in and saying, I am going to go in and wipe this stuff out. And when you emerge out the other side, you make wine. Wine, all of these, I'm going to suggest, are analogous terms that represent something that actually play out in the psyche, that are meaningful, but they don't sound exactly like they should. Some people think Noah drunk naked in the tent. Is that a bad thing? Yeah, that's horrific. Is it good or is it bad? He actually admonished his son for covering him. What is going on? That's because we think naked and drunk means being naked and drunk. How many of us have been there? Yeah, that's not a good thing, is it? Okay, we're talking spiritual world, the psyche. It is not about being naked, and it's not about being drunk. It's about being uncovered and about feeling a good way. We have a Jesus parallel, don't we, with a wineskin? We just take a look at this real quick, at how these short verses interpret in the exact same way, playing at them out in the psyche. You cannot put new wine into an old wineskin or it'll ruin the new wine. You cannot put old wine into a new wineskin or it'll burst the new wineskin. But you must put new wine into a new wineskin. We become the wineskin. They're analogs for us. The wineskin represents me, and wine represents my life experience. And my old self, my old wineskin, if I want to leave my past behind and just move to a new one, I can't do that. I've got to resolve issues in my past or they're going to come with me. So if I take my old wineskin and try to put new wine in, it's going to ruin the new wine. If I take my old life, leave it in place and try to move ahead without resolving it, it's going to ruin what I've got going on ahead of me. However, if I try to put a new life into my old self, I'm going to go somewhere, it'll ruin you see what's going on here. But you must put new wine, a new way of life into a new self, into a new wineskin. So we can see here that they're using analogous verbiage in a consistent manner that, if we interpret it that way, is going to kind of lead us to the idea that the wine is not about wine in the physical world. This is a spiritual teaching that has a metaphoric representation. And once we make that translation, naked is good. New wine is good. This is how thick the analogs get, though. Did you also spot in there that in a flood story, if that's an analog for cleaning out what you have going on there, what did Jesus just say? You have to clean out yourself before moving on. They're both similar conceptually. Conceptually, they are identical, actually. They sound different, but they're the same. So, if we go back to the beginning of Genesis, right in creation, at the end of day 7, what do we have? Adam and Eve, which I suggest represents each of us as a conscious child. Happy. We have not experienced life yet. We're happy, self-aware, living life. Life is wonderful. We are naked. We're not covered with anything. We're unashamed. Yeah, we've got nothing to hide. Nobody's got anything on us. We're in the Garden of Eden, a place of bliss, a mental place of being. As we begin to experience life, we leave that behind. But naked, unashamed, uncovered in the Garden of Eden was a good thing at that point in time. Here we have, at the beginning of the next round of life, we have naked in the tent, uncovered. But what is going to happen is that it's going to happen again. Life is going to continue to cycle. We're going to have emergent issues again. And the 3 sons represent parts of who and what we are. Ham is supposed to be the one taking over, but Ham isn't going to make it. It's important to define these really well. I talk about Ham as if Ham is something different. Ham is us. Think of a point in time in your life where you were giving in to something all the time, or maybe you're doing that now. This is a prior self. that later on you go, I have to get a hold of that. I cannot let this win anymore. This is an entity. This is given a name, something to defeat, or perhaps your entire old self, maybe an aspect of your old self or your entire old self. And all points in between can be held in this story. Ham represents the person that is supposed to be coming along now saying, okay, this is a new generation. Since the old generation has been healed and is gone now, I am now a new person. I'm taking over. I am Ham. Noah is gone because Noah had to wipe out that planet. That was our earlier self who has now healed some. We have now become a different person because of that healing process. So they're simply giving us a different name. And our old self is dying off, passing it along to the next generation of who must go back and heal again. But it is still us. Ham is supposed to be taken over. But what happens here, we've got other qualities that are not supposed to be taking over. And those are the other brothers. So it's important to continue to play it out this way. The wine, the drunkenness are life experiences. The vineyard is what it is. It's the structure of my belief system, my life, what it is I go for. We'll see that throughout. Going back and, getting vineyards back from people are going to become an important part of Jesus' teaching as well, that are representing the same idea of going back and getting back what belongs to you, your earth, your world, your life experience, your vineyard, your whatever it is that gives you the way you feel about life. All of those are about forgiveness. Seriously, forgiveness. Okay, many of us are looking for answers, aren't we? This is from John Dominic Crossan, who is Jesus, from his book, Who is Jesus? A quote from him. My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. We're supposed to analyze it, turn it inward, and find out what is there. Let's see all of the things that we can find. The sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So it's setting up three things right there. Ham is the one that's supposed to be our new self taking over. Shem and Japheth, that's going to be think of those like Cain and Abel. Those are the two that are going to actually be taking over instead, because Ham isn't going to really be that's not going to be the part of us that we're going to fail again. Who's the father of Canaan. Canaan is the place we are headed to. Canaan is the Holy Land, Nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within, the good place we want to go to. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was peopled. So our entire life is going to emerge again from this right here. In the same way it did in creation, start out with a small amount, and our worth, our whole earth, our whole life experience becomes it is not people, it is experiences. The more experiences we have, the bigger and more crowded our earth is. Okay, moving on. Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank some of the wine and became drunk, and he lay uncovered in his tent. Here is what is important here, what has actually happened. He drank some of the wine and became drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. That is the action that we're looking at right here in the spiritual teaching. So what this is representing is that we are having new life experience. We drank some of the wine, we've healed. We're now having, we feel great and I feel good, and I am no longer covered by that issue. I have stripped that off. I used to not tell people this or that, because it made me ashamed. And now that I have been able to get that off of my chest, I no longer feel the shame, so I feel good. I am now drunk, uncovered, in the tent. That's a good place to be right there. Yeah, that's where you want to be. What happens, though? Your new self comes along, and it's setting up a failure. There's going to be a network, a story network that continues on and on and on in a storytelling culture. These are new episodes, one after another. And they're very clever. Sounds a little callous, but that's it. The way they're carried is very magical. But okay. So in this case, it's setting up that your new self doesn't appreciate the nakedness, tells the other two who are failures. What do? This is your other self coming in to cover now you've got other issues that are going to emerge right now, and they're not the ones in charge either. However, they've been given power, weren't they? Just like if you go to Babylonian creation myth, where earlier on, the first thing that's happening is you have gods that are in charge and that are raucous. Those are representing these early parts of yourself that kind of take over and make you do things you don't want to do. And later you have regrets, or we go, God, I shouldn't do this. I need to do this. All of those right there are represented in these failings right here, these repetitive failings. And in this case, we're simply seeing that being passed along, that here's another one, another story coming up. The good guy didn't take over. Your good self didn't take over. It's going to give back in, and there's going to be another adventure of failure and success. Let's move along and see if we find that in here. Noah, the man of the soil, was first to plant a vineyard. He drank some of the wine and became drunk, and he lay uncovered in the tent. Okay, we decided a good place to be. Ham saw the nakedness. The father of Canaan saw the nakedness of his father. So and Ham, the father of Canaan, who it is who is supposed to move on to the holy place, to give us to the good place, to take over, to be the hero on the hero's journey, our new self, we're failing right there. We tell whoever it is our life experiences, and our Cain and Abel, again, so we go in and take a garment, lay it on both our shoulders, and walk backwards. We covered up our father. Those parts of us did not want to see the nakedness. And you know what? Again, we have to unwrap ourselves from the meaning of the analogs. This is a part of us. It's not nakedness or anything like that. This is about recovering. It's about covering again, or once again covering. It's about putting things on, putting garments on. It's like, well, okay, I still have other shame. I still have other things, or I still have other life experiences that are not on, I haven't resolved them yet. I'm still not there. I have to make another journey. And that is, as I see this, that's what I see it in there, consistent with other teachings from around the world. When Noah awoke from his wine and knew that his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan." Okay, so Canaan is not going to be, it's going to be, cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves shall he be to his brothers. That means your new self is not going to win. He also said, "Blessed by the Lord, my God, be Shem, and let Canaan be his slave." Yep, that's like in the Babylonian stuff. The power goes to the earlier bad stuff, and your good self will be slave to your bad self until later on. This is going to rectify down the road. May God make space for Japheth and let him live in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. So yeah, this represents life again that is going to still have issues. It then steps into an area that I don't recognize. It is sort of a lineage thing that shows up in Jewish material that I don't recognize from from Hinduism or from Greek myth or anywhere else. But there's this lineage kind of a thing going on. So yeah, I don't know what that is yet. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. All the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Those lineage things, I don't know what they mean in Jewish material, but I am certain that they have a meaning. They're very consistent and they're very used. It'll emerge. Whatever they are is going to show up eventually. At any rate, okay, so you see how that works then. If you play it out in the psyche, you're going to consistently come up with the idea that, okay, things are not as they seem. I won't even go look at other interpretations. There are people that think this is literal, and they're trying to figure out why this really happened that way and why the curse happened. There's others that believe it's metaphoric, but they're still coming up with explanations that have to do with kind of the faith belief, where I went to a place where I thought there's something in there, and I don't have the faith belief that restricts me from looking at it in a very open way. And what emerges is things that emerge from elsewhere in antiquity. Anyway, that was it on this video. I just wanted to say that. Yeah. The kids covering Noah, they were the bad ones. That's the reason why. That's your new self. We got to rectify that. More adventures ahead. Anyway, hope it was interesting. See you in the next video.